Hi everyone, this is Mindy Eggen and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to go over the cards that I created with the Spellbinders June 2024 clubs. The process to create a lot of these cards you'll be able to find on the Spellbinders YouTube channel, but I wanted to be able to show them to you kind of in person, so to speak. If you are not already a subscriber to the Spellbinders clubs, you can now sign up anywhere between June 6th and June 27th for the individual clubs, or you can sign up for the deluxe caboodle, which gives you all 10 clubs plus a bonus item. Now let's jump in and take a look at the clubs. I'm starting with the large die of the month called Summertime Vacay. This one is super fun because it gives you this great little scene to build up kind of a beach scene. You have a lawn chair or a beach chair. There's also a little beach with a die to create some kind of the white parts of the water. It's just an additional image you can add to your beach. And then we have the umbrella, some clouds. You can see on this first example here, I used that beach chair, the clouds, a glimmer sentiment from the Glimmer of the month, and the background is created with the 2D embossing folder of the month. The next card that I have also features those really fun beach chairs, also another sentiment from the Glimmer of the month. And the background for this one is the 3D embossing folder of the month. So it has that fun kind of citrus background to it that I lightly ink blended. Then this card might be my favorite that I created with it. So again, I took that beach chair, but I have these clouds in the background and that is created with the stencil of the month. I also have those waves kind of at the bottom, which was created with that 2D embossing folder. But instead of using it as a full panel, I trimmed it down so it just creates the waves at the bottom. Here is another version, kind of more in teals, and I changed the color of my beach chair, which I think is fun. I also did the foiling on different shades of dark blue cardstock. Next, I'm going to show you the Better Press of the Month for June 2024. This one is called Summertime Palms. So it's going to give us almost filling in, I should say, the entire card front. So it's got a palm coming in from the top and also the bottom. There are two sentiments that you can do your Better Press with and die cut it out. And I'm also going to show you the wax seal of the month. This is called Sun and Waves. I had a lot of fun creating with the wax seal of the month. You also get a set of wax beads, and it's like 4 different shades in here. So there's a gold, there's a solid, and then there's 2 different shades of teal that kind of have a glimmer to them. Now, I'm bringing out a bunch of them that I was playing with. So I made more than I needed, but they're just really pretty, really fun. I combined these 2 clubs together to make a card. On top of the wax seal, I'll show you a closer look how I took a gold metallic pen or a paint pen and I went over those raised areas to make them stand out a little bit more. The card I created for these two is instead of using the palms as a better press plate, I used it to foil. And I believe I used my go-to foil, which is champagne foil. And I did that on a teal cardstock. And then I just placed my wax seal in the center. And the sentiment, I believe, is coming off of the Glimmer of the month. I love how these clubs coordinate so well together. It makes creating so effortless. Then this is the embossing folder of the month. So this is 2D and this is called Summertime Waves. It gives that really fun wave pattern. You can use either an embossed side or the debossed side. This is the cards I showed earlier where I trimmed it down to just be the water on the bottom of my card. This one features the entire panel, so it gives a really fun detail to the background. And those are all done on colored cardstock, but I also did it on white cardstock. And this is the card that I'll be sharing for the clear stamp and die of the month. I just used it to add texture to my background, but because of the waves pattern, it just kind of coordinates and bring together that beachy feeling. This is the 3D embossing folder of the month called Summertime Citrus Twist. And I'm also going to be showing you the stitching die of the month, which is called Stitched Ice Cream Cone. Of course, just as it says, it's an ice cream cone that you can stitch, add stitching to, I should say. And I combined these two together because embossing folders are just Really great for adding either a bunch of interest to your background or subtle interest. I made 2 ice cream cones here, and the citrus twist in the background, I just took a white pigment ink pad and swiped it over the background to make the citrus kind of stand out a little bit more. This is the other card I showed earlier where I did some ink blending in the background first and then embossed it. Now, one of the sets you're probably seeing on almost every card that I do is the Glimmer of the Month, and this is called Summertime Sentiments. It has the plate here to do all of the sentiments at once and die cut them all at once. And I love the crisp, clean die cutting I get for these sentiments. The Hello Friend, of course, die cuts out as well. There's a sentiment on there that fits perfectly for the ice cream cones, but the sentiments just worked so well with everything. I'm pretty much sure I used it on almost every single card except for maybe the clear stamp of the month. I used the sentiments on that stamp set. But here I'm just bringing back in some of those cards I previously shared. You can see how they fit together nicely, going kind of straight across, or I even did one where I added it at an angle. Some of them I combined with the Hello Friend, and other cards, I just used the regular sentiments. The clear stamp and die of the month is Paradise Resort. This was a really interesting set. So you have a keychain, and then there's 3 different images you can color and die cut out and place on top of your keychain. So either keychain or room key for your resort that you're staying at. But this one was really fun. And the stamp set itself inspired me to create this card because the shape of those additional elements just kind of fit together nicely, and I put them at a diagonal. The lighthouse I did kind of in a night scene. We had that fun beachy scene and then that whale tail over there in the corner. So here's the one I showed earlier. I colored in with Olo markers. The sentiments, I used a combination actually from the stamp set and then also the Glimmer foil of the month. One set I did not get around to creating with is the small die of the month. So I'm going to pop up a picture here. This is from the Spellbinders website where it's got these 2 really cute characters and some inner tubes off to the beach to have some fun. There are some great examples from Spellbinders over on their website that you can check out. And then if you're signed up for the deluxe caboodle, you get this really cool watermelon die, which I really do want to play with. And then there is the stencil of the month, Summertime Graphics. So this is actually a 5-piece set. 3 of the stencils layered together to create beach balls across the front of your card. These 2 pieces line up together. You can do different colors on each one. And then there's a piece for the center of the beach ball. I do have a couple examples here. This one is kind of doing 2 different shades of blue. And then I have another one where I did 2 different shades of teal. Another design in this stencil set is using clouds and a sun. So these clouds can layer down the front of your card to create a scene. This is one of the panels I did. I was trying to make sure that the light wasn't too overexposed here. So you can see I have a light, medium, and then dark shade of cloud going across the front of my card, getting all tongue-tied. So that is one example. And then this is the last stencil in this set, which has this kind of curved line. Now, there's a couple different ways you can use that one. One of the examples is creating it with different shades of blue for more of a graphic scene of your ocean water. But in some of the card examples I did it in just some fun, bright colors. This one has 2 different shades of pink, and then at the bottom, I have 2 different shades of teal. And I framed it to kind of contain that so it wasn't too overwhelming for the front of my card. This is another one I did. This was the original card I created before framing that image. And I just really wasn't happy with the purple at the bottom. So I changed it up, put the blue underneath the pink, and I liked that a lot better. So that is a quick walkthrough of the clubs for June 2024. You can find a lot of the how-tos for these cards over on the Spellbinders YouTube channel. I'm going to have all of the clubs listed and linked down below in the video description, as well as over on my blog if you want to see closer looks at it. But there is one card that I wanted to create with you today because I had an idea with one of the stencils from the set. Now, I know not everybody loves rainbows, but I could not resist. So that is what I'm going to create today. A quick thing that I wanted to show you is when I start working with the clubs, I go through and I just start die cutting. I grab different shades of cardstock. I do the same thing with the glimmer and the stamping. I just sit, stamp a bunch of things, die cut out a bunch of things, and this helps me kind of figure out what color combination I want to use. Maybe I liked a darker brown better than a lighter brown. So, and now I have all these extras. So I can always use these for future cards, maybe today, depending on where the card design takes me. But I wanted to show you that initial process of how I kind of go through and just stamp and die cut a bunch of things. Now I can jump into my card project, and this is using one of the stencils from the Stencil of the Month. So I'm starting out with the sun, and I have it kind of tipped at an angle on my cardstock. This measures 4¼ by 5½. It is Hammermill cardstock, and I masked off with some Post-it tape around the sun so I didn't get any excess ink on the rest of my card front. I'm starting by ink blending. I think this was Scattered Straw Distress ink. And then I'm going to come in towards the top of the sun with a dried marigold to really give it that warm, summertime, beachy feel. I have my cardstock secured down in place on my work surface just using some repositionable tape. And then after I have my sun done, I'm going to remove the stencil and I'm going to clean off my stencil with some rubbing alcohol and a rag. And I will be doing that in between each color that I'm going to ink blend. It seems a little tedious, but I think the end results are completely worth it. So I lined that stencil up with my sun, so it's just kind of barely touching there at the line. I started by ink blending this first band from the rainbow with picked raspberry, but I really wasn't feeling the pink, so I brought in Festive berries and I'm going to ink blend that red right over the top. Once again, I am masking off around that area because I don't want to get any of that excess ink on the front of my card. So here I remove the stencil. I have that great red band for the rainbow going across the front of my card. I cleaned off my stencil, lining that next area up right next to my red. So I'm not quite overlapping. I'm just really coming up to the end of that red band. Again, masking off the area, and then I'm going to go through the rainbow colors. So here I'm going to be coming in with that dried marigold, blending through that, and then I'll move on to the rest of the rainbow colors. I'll just be showing you the reveal after this point. So I will come in, my yellow I changed up to squeezed lemonade. I decided to skip green and move to salvaged patina. I thought that would be a good compromise with a blue and a green, but I think I have some leftover blue on my blending brush, so it didn't quite come out quite as teal or turquoise as I wanted, but it works. And then my last one at the bottom there, I will be using, I believe I brought in milled lavender, so just a nice light purple, any shade of purple will work. I just thought this would be a really nice twist instead of using it as intended, which was to create this graphic kind of water scene on the front of my card. I thought by changing the direction and creating a rainbow was really fun. Now, a couple tools I want to share with you that I've been using is my paper trimmers. So this is the Guillotine paper trimmer from Spellbinders. I really do love these smaller Guillotine sizes. And then the other one that I have here is brand new. It is, I guess I would call this a traditional paper trimmer. This is what I originally started with when I started card making, were these ones where you would have to replace the blades once they start to wear out. What I really wanted this for was the scoring tool. Now here it does have an arm that comes out. It goes all the way out to 17 inches, has a guide at the top and the bottom. So depending on where, you like to place your cardstock. But I do not really like using scoreboards or scoring tools to do my cardstock bases. So I purposely bought this with the intent to do my scoring of my card bases. Here are just the edges at the top and the bottom. I love that it has those guides on both the top and bottom. And this is what I'm going to use to trim my cardstock down. Now, I'm trying to be super careful because I don't want to cut too much and have it look a little odd. So I started off with the one side to clean up the edges. I'm going to move down to the bottom, but see here, if I cut too much off of the bottom, I'm going to get rid of a lot of the purple. So I took some time. I just kind of fiddled around with different sizes, how I wanted to cut it, just to try and get all of those edges cleaned up. So I think the final card size that I end up with is 3 3/4 by 5 inches. It might even be a little bit smaller. No, I think I went to 3 3/4 by 5 inches. So now that I have that trimmed down, I'm going to stamp a sentiment. I dug through all of my sentiments that I already had pre-done, but nothing was really done in a color that I wanted. So I opted to go for just plain white cardstock and a black stamped sentiment. So this is a sentiment off of the clear Stampin' Die of the Month. I am using my mini Misti, which I have a waffle flower grip mat inside to hold my cardstock. And I'm going to ink this up in a jet black ink and stamp that down. I stamped the sentiment twice, but I kind of pushed a little bit too hard. So my letters are a little thicker than I would have preferred. And that's really just operational error. I shouldn't have pushed so hard on the door of the Misti, but it's going to work out just fine. I'm using the coordinating die to die cut out the sentiment, and I'm bringing out my Scout. I absolutely have been loving my little mini die cut machine on my desk. I can just fold it up, set it off on the side when I'm done. It doesn't take up a lot of space. So loving having this in my workspace. Some extras that I did have in that little tray are some clouds from the large die of the month. But instead of having these stark white clouds, I am going to bring in some Tumbled Glass Distress Oxide ink, and just using a blending brush, I'm going to go around the outer edges to add a little bit of color. And I'm working on a media grip mat to help me hold my cardstock in place while I add that color. Then I can start working on the assembly. So I want to put my clouds on here before I attach this to a card front. I am adding thin foam squares behind my clouds, and I'm going to have them hanging off the edge of my card just to make it not so organized, I guess. I love having the clouds kind of coming in from the sides of my edges. So I trimmed off any excess. I am going to add some thin foam squares behind my sentiment and pop that up right in the middle there, kind of by the sun. And then I'm going to attach this to a card front that I created. It's going to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I'm just using some foam tape to pop that up. I thought this needed one more finishing touch, and that is going to be adding some sequins to this. And one of my favorites is using the clear quartz solid sequins from Gina K Designs. They're shiny, but not too shiny. I actually really wanted to use the clear dewdrops, but I just couldn't find them at the time. So these work really great. And that's going to finish off this card. Taking that stencil, and instead of turning it into a ocean scene, I created a rainbow. So that is a closer look at the Spellbinders June 2024 clubs. I will again have all of those supplies listed down below in the video description and over on my blog. If you're already a club member, I hope you found these inspirational. And if you're not already a club member, I hope you'll head over and take a look at possibly joining one, two, or all of the clubs, which would be the Deluxe Caboodle, because they are so fun to work with and they work so well together that I really enjoy creating with them. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I'll see you again soon in the next video.